All right,
Weird, isn't
you
it?
let me know when you're ready. I don't want to keep you waiting.
I'm ready whenever you are. Let's do
Oh my
this.
God, she's ready to tell her ghost stories, guys. All right, let me switch to the
Yay!
scene. Let me switch to the scene so you guys can stop looking at my ugly face and we can get over here to somebody who actually spent time on their looks today. Okay. I just threw a hat on after taking a nap. So, guys, ready? This is the spooky scene, and I'm gonna flip mine back on for you too as well. So let's do
Yeah.
this.
Hey guys, what's up? How are you? How's everyone today?
All right, so I am up on here. I got you here. I'm going to look. No worries, Shabbat. Guys, so let me just introduce you here. This is Tiffany. Tiffany is here to
Hi
speak with us
guys.
on our very first episode of the MVP Paranormal Podcast that I have just decided to throw together today, but she had the idea that we should get on here and do a little chit chat, so I'm going to give her all the credit for that. I've already done the coffee and conspiracies with Miss Cat. You know we're doing that. We're having a lot of fun with that. But we're gonna have Tiffany here telling her personal ghost story or ghost stories that she may have in her beliefs and her feelings on it, so that we can give you guys a more insider kind of experience to streamers that believe in more than just your everyday, things that you can see and feel. All right, so kicking this off, what we're gonna do is we want to hear your take on the paranormal, the ghosts, the fun little spooky things that float around at night. And what I did is I made this little scene with the campfire at the bottom because this is gonna be sort of like my streamer campfire stories that I'm gonna start. I wanted to give it like a theme. So
Ew,
if
I love
you
that.
wanted to, right off the bat, give, because we have time, give like a little introduction of yourself. Like, how did you find yourself wanting to stream? Just to kind of, this is your
Yeah.
part to like fluff your feathers and like tell everyone who you are, kind of
Okay.
thing.
So guys, I started off modeling, doing like Miss Universe in Ireland, and I did a lot of stuff over in Ireland, and then I moved over to California, chasing the dream like any other star I'd want to be. And yeah, ever since I've been working as a content creator, I've about 2 million on Insta and 300
Bye, Wolf.
TikTok, but I just started on
Bye,
Kick, so
Wolf.
getting used to it. It's a new thing for me, and the reason I started streaming was because I wanted to really connect more, be more, in real life, and just wanted to give it a go, basically. So that's how that came about.
And what's really cool about that is you wanted to take like I'm not saying like the other platforms are a little more cold because they're still fun. You get
Yeah.
comments and all of that stuff, but like you don't get to see faces, you don't get to see live feeds, you don't interact. You can go live on Instagram and TikTok, but it's different when you set up your computer to do this kind of thing. It's a whole different world. And as you can see, it doesn't always work.
It's definitely harder to do things this way, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this technology defeat me. Let's figure this out. So, no, that's it. There's big audiences on Instagram and TikTok, but a lot of silent watchers, people that don't really want to engage as much. And
Yeah.
I really just wanted to like keep building out that community, that niche community. So that's kind of where that came from, I guess.
That's awesome. And it's actually kind of fun
Uh,
because her laptop has a ghost sabotaging it. Yeah, I bet it does.
I think
um,
so. I think literally that's what's happening.
Probably. So yeah, it was fun because like, obviously you were on front page the first day because that's how Kick does their new partners and things like that. And we were able to find
Yeah.
you, and our community
Right.
immediately kind of liked what you were talking about and your health and
Aw.
wellness and your spirituality. And then come to find out you like the paranormal and the ghost things. Then we find out that Garrett used to do this kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, well, this is how this kind of community builds and grows. It's a very tight niche community. When you go into this ghost hunting world, there's only like 20 people that are publicly doing it live on the internet, on YouTube. Like, you don't see all the small mom and pop people doing it. So it's always fun to find people who are interested in this because you would never know.
No,
You
you
would
would
have no
never
idea.
know. You would
um
never know. And it's like, so many people I think have their own stories and experiences of things like this, but people are actually too afraid to share it, or they're embarrassed, or they are afraid people are going to think they're crazy. So but
mhm.
people are afraid to share their stories, but I'm like, nope, I don't care. I'm going to tell you what I saw, what happened. Like that's what happened.
I mean, you totally veered off whatever you wanted to talk about on your stream the other day to talk ghost stuff.
I did. I always do that. Oh my God. I'll be talking about one thing and then I'll like jump into something completely metaphysical. And yeah, sorry about that, guys. I get very excited when I talk about this stuff.
It's awesome because it's like totally an interest of yours, which is great.
No, it
So
is.
that being said, let's jump right into this. So the theme of today
Right.
is going to be all about you because they've heard my nonsense. They've heard my stories. I can give you my input of what I've experienced. And now that I've started ghost hunting and filming it, I've blown my experiences out of the water because before it was just like, did I really see that? Did I really hear that? I definitely felt something, this and that. And then now I'm putting myself in a basement for 17 hours in the middle of the night. Yeah, stuff happens and it kind of freaks you out. And you realize, oh crap, there is other things. Like I've never been a super religious
Mhm.
person, but
No, me neither.
now I'm like hearing, I've always been spiritual. Like I have an altar in the basement to the moon goddess. I have all of my stuff around it. I do tarot readings. I do all this stuff. Like this is my life.
Hey.
I love this stuff,
Right. Me too.
but I never saw anything. So when I started seeing things, that's when it was like, okay, all right. And we won't get into crazy, we don't have enough time to talk about when I used to astral project when my dreams when I was younger and fly around the world and all that
Wow.
crap. Like this is the
Yes.
stuff people don't want to talk about, but let me tell you, there's some interesting stories we could get into. But this isn't
Right.
about me. This is about you today. So I know I sent you a list of questions because I was trying to figure out how I wanted to like structure this podcast a little bit.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not gonna like be boring and go down a list of questions for everybody, but my very first one will probably set the tone. Did you at any point in your life, because I know we had this little like, you believe in this, you believe in that, was there kind of like a deciding paranormal experience, ghost kind of thing? Like, I hate calling them ghosts because that feels very like, I hate to say it's just something that people don't think is real. It's like almost sounds derogatory. But
Yes,
like,
it does. It sounds like woo-woo or something, but it,
exactly.
it
So, like
is
a
real.
spirit or a soul, was there an
Yep.
experience you had in your life? Doesn't matter if you were 2 years old or 25, that kind of kickstarted this third eye awakening experience where you were like, okay, this is something I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, so I've had several experiences actually, both good and
Hmm.
bad. So would you like me to tell you about the good one or the bad one or a bit of both?
I mean, we can do a little bit of both because they all have a foundational start in your life of how like they build off
Right.
of one another.
Yeah, okay, so we'll start with the good one. So back in 2019, my mom passed away and both of my grandparents, and they all passed away
I,
within
I
nine
just have
months
to
of
say
each other.
sorry. Like, I'm
I
sorry you had
know,
to go through
thank you
that.
for that. It was a lot all at once because,
Hmm.
in 9 months, three people passed. So obviously that was a massive awakening for me. I was at rock bottom and stuff like that. And it was just, there was no words. Every day was like a blur. So it was about 2 weeks after my mom had passed. And I was obviously in bed. I was like crying. I just couldn't believe that this had all happened and fell asleep or whatever. And then woke up in the night at about 3 a.m. with this feeling of like a warm gold ball in my stomach. Like
I
literally, I was
love that.
fast asleep and I just woke up to this like warmth and this in my mind's eye, I could see this
Hmm.
gold ball. So it woke me up, like my whole body was like energized. And this happened at 3 a.m., which is, kind of when the veil is the thinnest.
That's very
So,
accurate too, by the way, especially with paranormal
mhm,
investigating. I can back you up on
yeah,
that one. Things happen between
yeah.
3 and 5 in the morning.
They do. That's when the veil between the two realities is the thinnest,
Hmm.
right? And I didn't know this at the time. So then I was like, whoa, like what is happening? But I felt this overwhelming sense of love and peace and energy that I've never felt before. And so then I just fell back asleep. Then in my dream, both my grandparents who had just passed, they came to me. So I was brushing my teeth in the dream and I turned to the left and they were there. And I was like, there you are. Where did you go? And they were like, we're okay. We just come to check on you. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I fell back asleep. But between the gold ball and them coming to me saying, like, basically they were fully visible. And it
Mm.
was just crazy. So when I wake up the next morning, I'm like, did that all happen? Did I dream that? I woke up at 3 a.m. with this like energy ball. Like it was some craziness. Um, super. weird, but in a good way, you know, because it was
Mm-hmm.
nice to hear from them and stuff. And so then I just started really getting interested in, you know, what's on the other side. What is this reality that we're living in? And, you know, I just my human mind could not accept that one minute somebody's here and the next minute they're gone. Like, granted, the body is here, but where's the soul? Where's the personality? Where did that person go? Right?
Yeah,
They
you
can't, they
dug
can't
in.
just so my brain was like, you know, the body's right here. And in Ireland, we do a wake. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's where you bring the body to the house and you put it in the sitting room. So for 3 days, people, friends, and family can come to the house and say goodbye to the body and stuff. It's like a tradition
Three
in Ireland.
days.
3 days. So you literally have your loved one's body in the kitchen, in the coffin, or in the sitting room or in the bedroom or whatever. And
Wow.
then for literally 3 days, it's like an open door, people coming in. It's actually quite exhausting, even though
Mm,
people mean well, but it's like, you know, you're just so tired. Um, so we
yeah.
had the wake and that. And no, it was just literally crazy. So then, obviously, I was grieving really hard. And I did a call with this girl. She's a psychic in the UK. Her name is Katie Helliwell. She is so badass. Like, this psychic is so good. She can literally read your thoughts. Like, when you do a call with her, she will be like, "Oh, you're thinking about this right now." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, she's in your brain. Like, it's wild.
I
So
love
anyway,
that.
she's incredible. So she heard through the newspapers that my, you know, three of my family members had passed. So she
Mm-hmm.
reached out and she said, "I want to read for you." And she didn't take any money, nothing. Like, she's 100% genuine. So we did a reading, and she has never been to my house. She doesn't know me or nothing like that. And she started talking, telling me all these things that she could never have known, even to the point of like, go up to your mom's bedroom. On the bedside locker is a photo. So I was like, what? She goes, yeah, go up there right now and bring
That's
the photo
insane.
down. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Got up, went up the stairs, went to my mom's bedroom. And sure enough, there's a photo of my little brother on a horse on her bedside locker. And I'm like, whoa. So I went down, backed onto this was on Zoom. And she's like, your mom said that that's her favorite photo of Jordan and the horse. So make sure to put it on the fridge. So I was like, okay. Like, it was just freaking incredible. And it was at that point I knew that there's something outside this reality. There's something
Yeah,
bigger. You
because
know,
that
there
blew you away.
really,
You're like,
really
how
is.
do you know this? Come on, I didn't even
Yeah,
know
I
that
was like,
was there.
she could remote view the picture in the room
Remote
on the
viewing blows me
desk.
away.
She
Blows me
was
away.
remote viewing and reading me at the same time. And I was like, this is like literally, guys, like I had chills. Like, the
Yeah,
air, once the reading started, the air in the room just went slightly colder, spiritual chills. And it was just freaking, like, I can't describe the energy change in the room. It was
I know what you're talking
powerful.
about.
So if any of you guys are ever looking for insight or to connect back with a loved one, Katie Helliwell is just, and it really helped my healing because, you know, just to even hear that they're doing okay on the other side and everything is, they're fine and happy, it was sort of a relief for me, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, so after that, it was almost as if like I unlocked some sort of new level. I started to get downloads. I started to be able to see things like different entities, ghosts. Luckily, I don't see them too often because they are actually out there a lot. But sometimes I'll see them at night and I'm like, oh my God. So it's been like this wild ride of like, wow, now reality is actually kind of opening and unlocking in a way that I never expected in a million years, you know?
Th- They almost tell you that you have to experience a personal death and something very traumatic before it kind of forces you into that eye awakening, that third eye opening, that kind of moment. Unless you're born into it and this is your life and you've been trained in it, you can be thrown headfirst into it. And that scares a lot of people when it happens. Um, Super cool.
100%. It's crazy, you know?
Super cool that you had someone that was able to give you that experience, that was able to do things like I'm just glad you didn't run into someone who was there for money and kind of faked everything and
Mm-hmm.
kind of ruined it for you, because that would have
Yeah,
shut you off. Like, you had a moment in your life where it was either going to turn on or turn off forever, and you found someone who
100%.
was amazing.
Right. No, she's amazing. Like, I mean, she refused to take any money. She was like, you don't even have to promote me, nothing. I just want to help you. She's like, losing
Mm.
3 people is a lot in 9 months. And I was like, oh my God. But I was so grateful. And I did post her, obviously, because I like to, help
Oh yeah,
help each other grow.
100%.
But she is so badass, like to the point where we had a reading about 3 months ago, and she was like, oh, by the way, next week you're going to get this job offer. And she listed out all these points about the job offer, and it came true. And I was like, this is
That's
like,
so cool.
she's badass. So sometimes I try not to do readings too much, but like maybe once a year is great to
Yeah.
like just get some insight and stuff.
You don't want to overindulge in it and then it kind of ruins it for you. It's just, don't
Yeah.
lead your whole life by this. You still want to make your own free will decisions.
Yes, because free will is important. And it's also
Hmm.
important to learn for yourself, go deeper and learn more about things and, learn about what downloads you're getting in, what messages. You kind of have to learn to do it for yourself as well, which all of
Yes.
us can do, I believe. It just takes practice, it takes awareness and taking that time to meditate and clear out all the noise and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Give yourself some time to just be quiet and sit quietly and just,
Yeah.
like you said, get the downloads, get the feels, get the things that you're missing every day from the hustle and bustle that you're dealing with and the stress and everything.
Exactly, because those things can block any person from having an
Yes.
experience, you
So
know?
I'm really happy that you had a good experience with a sad moment so that it opened up everything. And now you have this wonderful person that is Tiffany, who believes in these things and can give her guidance to other people and has become a light a light for guiding a lot of people and
Thank
moving forward.
you.
So it's been,
So sweet.
honestly, like, you guys are awesome. So that being said, um, kind of falling off of that point a little bit before we get to your, like, more maybe a little bit darker situation, unless you had
Yes, we have some
another nicer
darker
one.
stuff.
um
The darker stuff is
my
creepy.
Again, a sad moment, right? So my mother actually just had a really good friend of hers pass away, and it was an unfortunate situation where she went to the hospital for a fracture and ended up dying because she had an allergic
Oh,
reaction
wow.
to the medication they gave her for the pain relief of the fracture. So
Right.
you go in, you think you're leaving the hospital, and then you pass away, and it's like,
No,
what?
it's so, you never know when something can happen. You
So
just never
scary.
know.
That's one of those situations where, like, I could stub my toe and they give me some medicine that kills me, like, because they don't know I'm allergic
Yes,
to it or something. Like, insane. So
it's
that
crazy.
just happened. She was one of those psychics who could literally send you a text message and be like, hey, you put the toilet paper on wrong, it's on the roll wrong.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like she just knows everything. It just mind-boggling information comes through, just knows everything. And she passed away, and she actually reached out to her, I forget if it was her daughter or her son, after she passed away. She had been cremated and all of that stuff, and reached out to them and said, spiritually, I say reached out, I don't know their method of talking to her, everyone's got their own private thing, but she reached out to them, and they had a conversation where she said that when you pass away, she said she did leave her body, and they tried
Yeah.
to resuscitate her, and she did come back, in the sense like her body was on life support, so she wasn't gone yet. They had to essentially pull the
Yeah.
plug, which is sad. But she said she left her body and said, screw this, I don't want to go back. She's like, she saw the other side. She said, I met with my best friends that had passed away. I was back with everyone I loved. I know I'm leaving people I love on earth, whatever, but I looked back at my body and my life, and I said, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to go back to that, and moved on. But she also said, while she was leaving, she's like, don't think that you can just reach out to your loved ones whenever you want. She's like, I know where I'm going, and you're going to literally have to build a little altar for me as a beacon of light for me to find you, because
Oh,
and they said, they explained it as like, if you call for me, it's me like trying to look through a pinhole down at the earth to find you. It's not going to be that
whoa.
easy. She said, you got
That's
to
so
show me a light.
interesting.
This blew me away, because I'd never heard
That's
this
so
example
cool.
before. This isn't something people
No,
talked about. She's like, when we're
right.
gone and when I cross over and go to the other side, don't expect me to come back and talk to you and find you. And this is exactly how she would talk. She's like, don't expect me to come back if you say, hey, so and so, I want to talk to you. She's basically like, Bish, I'm not gonna hear you. Like it's like you're talking through a tiny little drop of water. That's how I can see people on Earth now. So you need to build me an altar, do something that has feelings to me, and then create me a beam of light of some sort so that I can actually see that beam and follow that pole down to you like a rope, and then I can talk to you a little bit, and then I'm out. That's like
Wow, that is so freaking cool. Because I know
blew me
when
away.
When Garrett's dad passed, he was like, "Oh, my dad never came through in any way and stuff." And
Mhm.
I was like, "Well, he will at some point, but maybe it's more difficult for certain spirits to come back and come
First
through,
time
you
somebody
know?"
I've ever heard that. And she was super psychic, knew everything, and she would be the person with the power to stick around and chat with somebody if she wanted to. And that's what she said. She's like, she's like, it's not like a heavenly gate situation. She's like, it's almost like an alternate reality I'm in right now, but all my friends are here and it's really cool and fun and I'm having a great time. But like, yeah, if you want me to
Yeah.
like see you again, you're gonna have to create that little thread that I can follow to get to you. I'm not gonna hear you.
Wow, that is such good
I
information.
was
Like, how
like,
cool is that?
damn, that is a really okay.
Yeah, no, that is that's awesome. Actually, some of the guys here in the chat were asking questions, but guys, at
Yeah,
the
go for it.
end, we're gonna
We can
take,
do it at the end.
well, let's do it at the end. Yeah,
That's
maybe at
fine.
the end, Hugh, we're gonna answer your questions at the end because right now we're in story time and then we'll do the questions at the
Yeah,
end and you guys can
absolutely.
ask whatever you want. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that works for me.
yeah.
Everyone in my chat's like
Yeah.
listening. They always go
I
dead
know,
silent and
most,
listen.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Um
wow,
so
that's incredible.
let's like move off of that fun inspiring moment. Let's get to some like
Yeah.
darker stuff. So what is your like
Yeah.
your uh-oh experience? Like what kind of like hits you as like a oh no?
So there's two things. I'll tell you
Mhm.
the first one. Both of these occurred when I was at a really dark time in my life. I was
Yeah.
quite depressed, I had anxiety, and things weren't going well. And we've all been through that. But my friend invited me to go to Vegas with her, and it was my first time in Vegas, and we were going to stay at her house and stuff. So we went, and I was staying over at her house and all, and so she had this giant bed. She fell asleep and I fell asleep. And it must have been about 4 a.m. And the whole air in the bedroom was like ice. Like it feels like the room is frozen, like the air is
Mhm.
frozen. And I was like, oh my God. And then so I opened my eyes and I'm like, this is so weird. Like it almost felt like it was a different dimension. I don't know. It was weird. I can't
Yeah.
explain it. Then, literally, what materialized in front of me could only be described as like some sort of demon or goblin. It was so freaking scary. And I was just like, like taken aback. And I screamed because I was staring at this thing for about 10 seconds because I was like, holy, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
Obviously, screaming woke my friend up. But looking back now, that was some type of entity. There was a bad vibe in the house. It wasn't right. The energy wasn't right. And ever since that experience, it kind of opened me up to like, oh, okay, there's some really bad things out there too. So I did a bit of research on
Yeah, why
how to
too,
keep things like
Slimer?
that away. There's a lot to learn about frequencies, white light, and it was just like a horrible thing to experience. And then I could not fall back asleep because I was like, whatever the hell that was, like, I don't know if it's still in the house, but good
Mhm.
Lord. So
Seeing
that
something
was
like that for
awful.
10 minutes, 10 seconds is
Yes.
enough for your brain
Yeah.
to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where like if it was a
Yeah.
split second, you'd brush it off and be like, it was nothing, who cares? Like whatever. But
Right.
if it's long enough for your brain to register shape, color, size,
Yes. Oh, shape,
all of that
details. I can see
stuff.
details, fang teeth and stuff. And the more I locked eyes with it, then it sort of smiled, and I was like, "Holy God!" I just screamed. Needless to say, it was some type of entity, some type of demon. It wasn't good. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But when
And
I
it doesn't seem
screamed,
human. It doesn't seem
it
like it
wasn't.
was. It's a weird. I don't mean to cut you off. It's a weird thing that you can't explain. But you said when you
Yeah.
screamed, it like did something, or
Yeah, so when I screamed like the high pitch frequency, it disappeared. So if
Hmm.
you guys ever do come into situations like that, you can tell these things to leave. Like you can literally be like, "Get out of my house. You're not welcome here." Or you can scream at them like I did. That seemed to work. But yeah, it was freaking horrible. I could see it in detail. I remember it to this day. And looking back, I think my friend at the time had a lot of, she was a good person, but there was dark energy around her.
Yeah.
And back then I wasn't as enlightened. So I was like, okay, what the hell is going on here, you know?
Yeah, it
So
makes
that was
sense.
that. That was that. And then the other experience I had, I was in my
Was this a
apartment
bad
in
one or is
West,
this a good one?
another bad one.
Oh no. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I've had quite a few experiences, but this other one was really creepy. So I used to live in West Hollywood in LA, and I had a little one bedroom apartment.
That's the bad part
And
already,
again,
guys.
yeah, exactly. So on the street where I lived, I was on Larrabee, and across the street there is a street called Palm. Now I didn't know this at the time, but there had been three in the building directly across from my building. But I didn't know. I just moved to LA, the whole lot. Okay. So this one night I was asleep in bed. And again, same thing. I was flat asleep, then woke up and I was laying on my side and kind of like as if I was at the side of the bed
What's
here.
up, Lions?
And the temperature in the room went ice cold. Like as if the air doesn't move and the
Yeah.
temperature just rapidly shoots down, like literally had goosebumps. And I could feel something over this side of the room. And I was like, oh, something is here.
Hmm.
I just knew something is here in my room and
Is
it's
this
not good.
after
So
your first experience or before?
this is after that. The goblin was the first thing I saw. And I was
Okay,
like,
so
oh my
you're
God.
feeling this. I'm just trying to set the scene. Like you're feeling this cold
Yeah.
again, and you already know that that means something. So,
Yes, I already knew. I was like, oh God, the last time that I felt the temperature change and like
yeah,
it means the air gets very still. It's like nothing moves. It's
it's hard to
so
explain, but I
weird.
know what you're talking about.
You know that? So like then I was like, oh shoot, something is here. I could
No
feel
worries,
this
Lions.
presence on the other side of the bed. I could feel it. So I tried to ignore it and I'm like, oh my God, and it would not go. I was like, so I was like, I'm literally gonna have to turn around and face whatever this thing is. So
Mm.
I built myself up. I'm like, whew, whew, turn around. There was a being, a man with a hooded, you know, like those hooded capes from the olden days where people
Yep.
wore like a hood. A being, well, a man, it was a man at the side of the bed with his head down like this, blacked out, like almost like a lost soul, some type of wanderer or lost being. And I was like, oh my God. So I screamed, get out. At the top of my voice, I screamed, get out. And then he
No
disappeared
worries, Phoenix. Thank you for
because
dropping
that's when
by,
I
man.
started to learn, like, okay, you can tell these things to get the hell out because it was my apartment, it's my
Hmm.
home. You're not welcome here. But anyway, so that was, it honestly was like the Grim Reaper. He had that kind of, what do you
He
call
had
it? Those
that like,
cloaks, right?
yeah, yep.
Cloak. But anyway, come to find out, then I moved. Gets worse, guys. So I left that
I
building,
met the Grim Reaper,
and
but I got a better story.
he literally looked like if the energy he gave me was like he's a lost soul, right? This is a lost
Yeah.
soul, hasn't crossed over, but it was icky. It was not good. Anyways, so then I moved over to the building across the road, and before I moved in, the leasing people never told me that the apartment that I was renting, somebody was in it. And as it turned out, the building, Palm, it's 939 Palm over in West Hollywood. Three people have been in the building. One guy was, I guess he had some
Jesus.
sort of mental breakdown, but he went through the building with a machete,
Oh my
stabbed a bunch of
God.
people. The cops were called. And when the cops went to this guy's apartment, they found he had his partner and he had cut his heart out and eaten it. So I'm
So this
like,
is like
you're
some
telling me,
satanic stuff.
yeah, or psychosis or some craziness. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I can. I moved into this building, like what? So that whole pocket of West Hollywood is
Oh
extremely creepy
my
and
God.
weird. Haunted AF. So that was horrible, you know?
And you got
So
to
bad.
experience that. You got to have the hooded figure, and then you moved, and then you got to
Yeah.
have the story of the nonsense that took place after you met the hooded figure, which is fun and exciting. Um,
Right. No, just craziness, you know?
I had, you know, obviously just like a quick little brief thing. I had an awakening myself with a demonic looking thing. My very first one was
Oh,
actually
yeah?
in college. I was in Rhode Island and I went on a little joyride down to the docks because I had some friends who were very spiritual and they wanted to see if, you know, if there were some ghosty things going on. We heard that the place was haunted and stuff like that. And that was my first ever, and again, you don't really remember it, but I'd have to say that was my first ever experience of some form of a possession, get the hell out of my body kind of thing. Which you didn't luckily get to experience because you put up that light wall and you were like, get the hell out, and you screamed and you're like, I'm done. But we drove down to the docks, and I actually, like, for some reason decided to look up in the trees. I don't know why. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
like these red eyes in the trees, and it kind of freaked me out.
Oh,
And before I knew it, I was kind of like, I thought I was blinking, and I can only describe it as like I blinked, and everyone in the car was like kind of pushed aside, and I was like up against the seats yelling at them and like swearing. I blacked out. Like I didn't know I even did that. I just saw the red eyes, and then I was just yelling at them. So I caught myself mid yell, like my throat hurt. I stopped, and I just sat there, and I sat back, and I was just like, what just happened? What's going on? And they were like, you've been like
God, it's like
swearing at us, screaming.
it took over you for a minute. It actually got into your
Literally, it was only
frequency
like
and
2 minutes, but it was enough, you know, it was enough to
yeah,
have like an
yeah.
explosion. So then we left and we went back to, you know, the dorms or whatever, because we were in college, and we went into the hallway. One of my friends did tarot readings. I had never had a tarot reading before. So she did a
Ah,
tarot reading. This is the part that, again, I don't have it videotaped. I can't like prove it, but we did a
of
tarot
course.
reading. She did one for the quote unquote demonic spirit that we apparently just experienced. She did one for the spirit. Whatever cards she pulled were what she pulled. It was all the usual evil looking
Yeah,
cards. And then she
right.
said, all right, I'm going to see if it's still got an attachment to you. I'm going to pull cards for you. So she shuffled them again. She had me pull cards. She pulled all the same cards.
My
So
God, that is so freaking scary.
I
Because
got the
you know, they
same pull as
attach, they
that.
follow people.
Yep. So I will never forget that for as long as I live. So we cleansed the shit out of me, all that other stuff. I had
Yeah.
nightmares for like weeks. It was like all this nonsense. It was absolutely crazy. What's up, B Money? It was an entire moment in my life where I just like was very sensitive. You're out on your own. You're very easily manipulated. You're
Yes.
drinking.
Yeah.
You're doing all these other things. Like this was the time for something to be stupid and mean and try to, you know, come at
Right.
me. Um,
That's the thing. And I think like
you're vulnerable.
when you're vulnerable, your auric field is weakened. And also,
Yeah.
if you're drinking or if you're high. So that's why alcohol
Yep.
is called spirits because it creates a hole in your
I
auric
love that.
field and allows the entities in. So when you're drunk, you know the way some people are like a really angry drunk or they're crazy, they're acting so different. That's
Yes.
usually because the auric field has opened and an entity has gotten in and has the ability to remote
What's up,
control
Snuck?
them
I'll get a
literally.
drink in a
And then
second.
when they sober up, they're pushed out again. So that's what one
Mm-hmm.
of my psychic friends told me. So I was like, oh my gosh. So you have to be careful. It doesn't happen to everyone. If you have a strong aura, you could have a couple of drinks and you won't, they won't come through. But if you're already drinking and you're in a sad,
Think I died
depressed
in an
mood or you're
accident, cause
lonely,
this must
you can
be
be
heaven.
vulnerable to these type of
I gotta
attacks, you
testify.
know?
Come up in the spot looking extra
Very much
fly.
so. It's a,
For the
and you know, the scariest thing about it is like none of
Thank
us
you, Anonymous.
really
Thank you for
know
the
fully
subscription.
like
I
what is on the
appreciate
other side
you.
of the
I don't know
veil.
who you
Like
are, but I appreciate you.
we're still learning. We're all 3D. We see things sometimes, but we don't see things all the time. So we don't know what we're up against really, and that makes it all the more scary.
Thank you, Anonymous. It's very true because we don't understand what we're seeing. There's no research that actually proves that this demon can do this thing, can do that thing. Everyone has their own personal experiences, but there's never
Yeah.
been like a documented, book written videotape of these things. It's all seen with the mind's eye or with our own vision.
Yeah.
It's never, you know, it's crazy when you see these investigators go out and stuff, and they have their night vision cameras and their thermal cameras, and I'm going to attest to it. I have cameras on stuff, but you
Yeah.
see things, and then you look back at the camera and there's nothing, and you think you're crazy. You think you're
Right,
imagining
right.
things, you're going crazy, but it's almost like we are genetically, there's something in us that genetically allows us, like something in our bodies and our eyes and our brain that allows us to see things that maybe technology can't catch, which kind of still blows me away. And it, that again makes you think you're crazy. Like at this point, I've made jokes where I'm like, if I could record what I see, like if I somehow could record what I see and show you, you would understand.
No, exactly. And that's the truth. Like, my grandmother, before she passed away, she had a best friend who could see spirits all the time. And this woman was an older woman, and she was my grandma's best friend. And she used to say to Liz, was her name. She goes, "Oh, Liz, sometimes I'm like driving along on the road, and this
Hmm.
woman would see spirits all the time. They would
Yeah.
follow her home, and they would try to communicate with her because they could tell that she could see them, right? She
Yep.
had the gift of the sight, and they would approach her all the time to try and get communication or whatever their different agendas was. And she found it difficult because she couldn't even switch it off, so she had to go daily just
Hmm.
trying to ignore it and trying to stay like a regular 3D human.
I
But
love
it's
that.
wild. It's wild.
So the thing like with me is I've never, I see things when they want me to see them, and it's always a peripheral thing
Yeah.
for me. It's never a
Right.
straight on I can see you thing, except when I was younger. When I was younger, I can vividly remember that I could see things, but it was kind of like how you saw it. It was like a black shadowy thing. I'll explain, like nowadays, I was doing an investigation in the Lizzie Borden basement, and I was listening to the spirit box, and I was trying to hear things being said, and they apparently have done seances in that place, and there's this demon named Carl who lives in the basement that wasn't there because of the Lizzie Borden story or anything. He was there because somebody brought him in. They probably did a Ouija board or something. They didn't close it, and they caused this whole thing, and now he lives there. So that sucks. But I heard his
People
name and
are
I heard him
messing.
talking. What'd you say?
Whoa. Sorry, I was just saying sometimes people are messing around with portals, they're
Yes.
opening things, and stuff will come through, and they don't know it came through, and they don't know how to get rid of it either.
And then
So
they
you
just
have to be
leave.
very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they
And
leave
then they
it, and
just
then
leave
it's
and they leave it
there.
there. So that's kind of what
It
happened.
is,
And that's my
yeah.
first shadow figure experience that I had, because I was sitting there in a dark room in this area where there's some like hypothetical potential kids had died thing. Nobody really has documented
Yeah,
proof of it. And I was sitting in there and I was
right.
looking straight ahead at the dark where I had a REM pod, and the REM pod started going off. And I was just sitting there listening. And all of a sudden I saw this full 6 foot, like two black shadow figure go from right and just run to the left of the room, and there was no shadows or
Oh,
anything. Everyone's off in another part of the building, and it went through a wall that had like shelves on it. It was concrete, there was dirt on the other side, and it was like towels, and it went right
wow.
through it. And why that sticks to me to this day is because I never I never truly understood what a shadow figure was. I knew what people were
Yeah,
talking about when they said shadow figure, like maybe they saw a shadow on the wall. Now I knew
yeah,
what that was. It was like if you, kind of like your demon, it's physically there, right? So it
yeah,
was like they took a person, painted them all black, like took out all the color and everything, pulled the
yeah,
shadow off the wall, gave it a three-dimensional shadow form, and let it
yeah.
move. It wasn't on
It's
the
so
wall,
weird.
right? It wasn't on the floor, it wasn't on the ceiling. It was out in the room with me, but it was a shadow. So that was what was a little freaky. Like that kind of blew me away. And at that point, I jumped over the REM pod, ran in the other room, and everyone was like, all the devices went off. Like it followed me. Like everything in the room went off at the same time. Everyone screamed. It freaked everybody out. It was like this whole moment where that kind of turned the visual around on me. And I was like, okay, this is a physical dude who can show himself to us now. Um, Holy crap.
That's scary. Yeah. It's funny because I've seen, shadow figures too, but
Hmm.
the demon, that the kind of gremlin goblin kind of thing I saw, was not in my mind's eye. It was as if it was right in front of me,
Hmm.
like
You could have
like
touched
I'm
it.
like, I could have touched it. I seen all the details of its like skin, its fangs, like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, this is like, am I tripping right now? But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is unsettling. it's unsettling, you know.
Now, have you
But you know,
ever,
there's
I'm sorry, have you ever had that happen again? Have you been visited again? Do you think it was tied to the one spot you lived in at the time and it didn't follow you?
Well, so that was about 9 years ago. And then honestly, last year, I feel like it came back because same thing again. I woke up one night, it was right beside the bed, the exact same thing. And that came back when I was in another, like, just having a dark period, like 2 or 3 weeks of like sad depression. So it was like,
Hmm.
oh my God. And ever since, and again, I see this thing, I'm like, the ice of the room is frozen, and I friggin' scream. Garrett's beside me in the bed. He jumps up. He's like, "What's going on?" It's like 4 a.m. and you're like shrieking like a
Yep.
banshee. And I'm like, you know, like he has PTSD from me seeing these things, bless
That's
him. But
amazing.
yeah, he's like, "Oh my God," you know. But no, I was not on completely sober.
Yep.
This was like about 3:30 a.m. I actually don't drink at all. I don't drink alcohol. And I wasn't
Yeah.
on anything at all. Any of the times, you know. If I was on drugs or alcohol, then I would have wrote it off to that and I would have been like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm not doing that again. But no, that's the crazy thing. Sober, 100% sober. But I was in
Exactly.
a bad place. When your vibration is lower, if you're depressed, if you're sad, if you're putting out any type of negative or lower vibrational energy, you can attract them in. So that's what I think is what happened.
So you have a feeling that your situation, because you keep yourself at a certain vibrational level, because you know you've learned, you keep yourself at a
Yeah.
certain light level because you know you've learned, you've attuned yourself to this. When you get
Yep.
to a point where you have these little hiccups or these little bumps where there's like maybe a breach in your defenses, that's when you maybe go to bed and then here we are. You know, this is the moment, because it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like you have this overwhelming depression you deal with every day. It doesn't sound like you're constantly in a bad mood or you're upset. It seems like you try to keep yourself at a certain happiness that you deserve. And then
Yeah.
when you do have these little bumps, this thing comes back. So in theory, this might be an
Yeah.
attachment, but it's a convenience. It's a convenient attachment. It's not always there. Maybe it's off, goes through a portal, does its own thing. But when it
It
feels that
must
you're
be, yeah.
you're at a moment in your life where it might be able to
I
do something about it.
it's so freaking creepy and dark and
Hmm.
weird, and it's just like, oh hell no, you know. But I'm always a person that stands up for myself. So like
Yeah.
even when that happened, I'm like, get out, and I literally scream at them, and I literally you have to command them, like,
Hmm.
get out. You're not welcome here. White light, you have to go. And that for me has always got rid of them, thank God. And that was just my reaction to it. But it was
Yeah.
honestly like you're just shaking and you're like, oh
Hmm.
my God, I'm like, you know, and then you also question your own sanity when it first happens. You're like, oh my God, this is bizarre and weird, and
Hmm.
I can't tell anyone about this. But then you start reading and researching and you're like, oh, this is a thing. It's actually it's I think what happens is the veil gets so thin that the realities kind of bleed into each other, and
Hmm.
that's when your eyesight is able to see, like, okay, this is a being or an entity that should not be here, you know.
And that's the thing that's cool about that whole veil and the conversation about white light and everything too, is because people try to describe this in different ways, right? They're like, oh, I see spirits because the veil is thinner. Some scientists try to say, well, maybe it's another dimension that's kind of colliding
Yeah.
with ours at that time, and that's possible. It doesn't matter how you describe it, people are seeing something. And it's always at that time. Like when I investigate, I can investigate from 6 p.m. Like the investigation coming up, I'm fully aware that from 6 p.m. to 2:30 in the morning, I might be bored out of my mind. I might be talking to a radio. I might be listening to white noise and nothing. But it's that 3 o'clock to 5 a.m. where the house blows the hell up. And it's like every room's a party. And it happens all the time.
Literally, it's so crazy because that's when the veil is the thinnest. The veil between the worlds is the thinnest. That's when, as if any of you guys are interested in this stuff or learning from Cosmode on, you know, the ghost hunting and stuff, the best time to do it would be between 3 and 5 a.m. because
It
that's when
is.
it's the thinnest veil. And Also, if you ever wake up at that time, you will notice that the air and the energy just feels
I'm
different.
happy
If
you're
you
covering
can,
that.
yeah, you can feel it. You're like, ooh, it's like a slightly creepy vibe. I don't know if you've ever had to get up for the kitchen and go get a glass of water at 4 a.m. You're almost like, ooh, and you want to get back into bed. That's because the veil is so thin.
That's the joke where like you'd shut off the light and run back to your bed as fast as you can because you feel
Yes,
like something creepy's following you because it's that time.
literally. I will not get out of bed if it's between 3 to 5. I always have
Hmm.
my water with me. I try to have everything in the room because I'm like, I don't want to go through the house because there's a high chance I'm going to see or interact with something
Yeah.
that I am not interested
And
in.
like my whole thing with that too is I feel like you're in a mental state that's more susceptible to it as well because
Yeah.
when I wake up that time, it's one of those like you're kind of like you could either go right back to sleep or you could be up and go to the gym. Like you're in that middle area where your mind is ready for you to
Yeah.
make a decision. And it's
Yeah.
like a purgatory of of being awake or asleep. You're right in that middle area. And it happens to me when you're out investigating as well. Like you're out all night between 3 and 5 a.m. You're exhausted. You're mentally just
So
cooked.
exhausted.
You're
Yeah.
ready to go to bed
So
or you
good.
can stay up. You're physically in that middle area again. And that's when
Mhm.
you start experiencing things when your body, and you know what, that's a good point to what you said earlier. That's when you're like clear, right? That's like you don't have a thought in your brain. You're not thinking about anything. You're not hearing music playing. You're not anything. You're completely empty and able to
Yeah.
consume, download all that stuff. It's either you're awake and you get to that time or you're asleep and you wake up at that time. It doesn't matter. I don't know if anyone knows this, but when you wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. or you're just up at 3 or 4 a.m., you just blank. You're just ready to
Exactly.
absorb.
Right. That's it. Your whole mental slate, your aura is open
It's
and
weird.
blank. So that it's weird, right? So that's when, with that being the thinner time for the veil and your own mental state, you don't have as much static noise. It's like,
Exactly.
whoa. It's like, it honestly feels like you're in a different dimension. It's
Hmm.
bizarre.
It does. And that's usually
Yeah.
when you were just in a dream where you were somewhere else. So you felt like, and that could be a whole nother podcast in itself, guys. The going somewhere in your dreams,
Yes.
astral projecting. Like I've slammed into my bed at 100 miles an hour from above my house before when I was younger and fallen out of bed, like scared the shit out of me
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um, but,
It's
and
scary.
I don't know how much time you have because I don't want to keep you too long. I don't know if you're
I
coming up
have
on your
another
moment.
like I have like 15 minutes or
Okay.
15 or 20. So is that
Okay.
okay with you? That's
Totally
okay?
fine. We can do your questions too. So
Oh
really,
yes.
just to throw a little bit more out there, because this has been awesome, just to explain the white light stuff, guys, as well.
Yeah.
Kind of what she's explaining, and I've been told this my entire life too, because I have a very big, and I'm gonna say witchy, but there's no real other term for it, Wiccan history going back to the 1600s in my bloodline in my family. And my family has kept up the tradition of healing and gardening and all of that stuff, medicine through plants and all of these things. Like it's been something. I have all the grimoires of the Green Witch and the this and that. It's like bookshelves covered in this stuff. And basically I have always been aware of these things. And my entire life, I have been told if you're ever in a moment where you're stressed or just simply going on a plane, if you're scared to go on a plane because you're scared the plane will crash or something, you have anxiety, put white light around yourself or the entire plane. And what that means is you just visualize where you are, yourself, your body, your mind. You visualize the items. You can touch the car you're in or something and just
Yeah.
visualize it's all visualization. It's all manifestation. And you visualize a white light essentially, or a
Yeah.
like quote unquote like border of white around everything. And once it
Yeah.
seals itself, you can call that a shielding or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. That's all it is. And
That's
it's
it.
very simple, but you feel good after you do it.
So good. It's funny. I learned it from Katie, the psychic. So
Mm-hmm.
before we did the reading, because she does them in person, but also on Zoom. And
Yeah.
she taught me how to do it. So you just take like 5 seconds and you pause and you visualize just yourself in a ball of white light, just all encompassing.
Yep.
And that's enough to seal you and protect you.
Yep.
And she taught me that. And ever since, even for example, like you said, if you're going on a plane or if you're nervous about something, even if
Yep.
you're, honestly, I say white light every time I leave the house, just in case, I don't want to get into a car accident or whatever. And I'm just like,
I find
white
myself
light,
doing the
please
same thing.
protect me. I just do that. And I'll tell you one thing, it works. It's
People are like, why does nothing
crazy.
ever
Like,
happen to you? And I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, I'm like, white
I'm not
light,
doing
and it
anything.
yeah, it's instant because what you're doing is you're asking for protection from source. And source creates everything in this reality, good or bad. It's
Yep.
all polarity, right? So even the ghosts and things, they are actually from source. But everything is from source. But when you call upon source to protect you, it's absolute. So guys, don't ever hesitate to use that. If you feel like, even if you just want a little bit of support, you can say white light, and it's a great little habit to get into.
Yes, and it's not like
Um,
a prayer, it's not a religion thing, it's not
no,
any of
it's
that.
not
It's just
religion.
it's a personal in your own mind, listen to your inside
Yeah.
voice, do it internally. You don't even have to say it out loud. You can
Yeah.
just do it whenever you want and it just makes you feel good. It's like a meditative thing. And
It
I have
makes
to
you
tell you
feel
it
so
works.
good. It
I've
works.
walked
It
away
makes
from
you
some scary
feel.
things and I've been fine.
Right, right. No, even if, for example, like you could use it in daily life. So, say, for
Mhm.
example, if you have a job interview coming up, or if you have something important, you can ask Source for protection and white light going into your job interview or
Mhm.
going into your meeting just to help you. There's absolutely no harm. I encourage all of you guys to try
Mhm.
it and just watch it and catalog it, and it will really help you. Get through the days and especially the hard days. So it's something I literally say almost every day.
Yeah, it's awesome. It helps build your confidence and get you to a point where you can comfortably leave the house and be the best you that you can be. And it actually does help you. It helps a lot. I can attest to that. It does. The days
Yeah.
I don't do it and the days I do it are two totally different days.
Yes, 100%. Because, like, dang, I forgot to say it. Because the thing about planet Earth, guys, is this is a planet of free will, meaning each of us is able to do whatever we want. It's free will. The spirit and white light are not allowed to interfere with your decisions. That's why you have to ask for protection. Like, you might say, well, why am I not always protected? That's not the soul contract you agreed upon. You wanted to come here and you wanted to experience this. So that's why you do have to ask. Otherwise, they're not allowed to interfere because it's a free will planet.
I'm gonna go back to my past self and say, "What the hell were you thinking?" I'm just kidding.
Oh, I know. I'm the same way. I'm like, by
Wasn't
the
there
way,
a better
I'm not
planet? I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
I am not reincarnating on this planet again. I'm
This feels
good.
like the timeshare of planets. This sucks.
Yes. Yeah, apparently, Earth is the most difficult planet
That's what I.
to
Yes.
it's the most difficult planet, guys. So everyone listening here, you're a warrior and a champion because your soul agreed to a lifetime on this planet, and it's the hardest one in our universe.
That's what I was. I've heard that too. That's amazing. Literally the
Yeah.
hardest planet. It's supposed to be like the boot camp of all planets,
Yes,
like the
it is the
military
boot
planet.
camp.
Which look around, it is
Yeah,
the freaking military planet. Look at this
it
shit.
is. It's corrupt. There's so much corruption. You think about
It's
it,
insane.
guys. You pay taxes on everything.
We have
Property.
disease. I have a
Think
disease. I have diabetes. Like what the hell? Where'd that come from? Nobody even knows what it is. Like,
Right. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so anyone that's agreed to come here and volunteer and be on this planet, you're actually an advanced soul because a lot of souls are not, they haven't graduated to the point where they can come to Earth and they can say, like, all right, let's go and take on this challenge?
I hate this
So it
game.
is just wild. I know, me too. I'm like, I'm good after this one merry-go-round. So yeah.
I'm gonna go eat some chicken tenders and go to bed. Um,
Yeah, you got to focus on the good things.
but that being said, I know you have plans, and I know you're a very busy person. Um,
Aw,
I won't bug you too much more. This has been fantastic. But did you want to take a little bit
yes.
to answer any of the questions your chat might have?
Yes, let's guys in the chat, what questions do you have? Let me just scroll back. And I'm sorry I wasn't ignoring you, but we were just deep in convo. So Tom says,
We could do this for
Tiffany,
three
have
hours,
you
honestly. Like I could segue
Oh, I
into
know.
other
I would
things. So
talk. Oh my God, I just love this stuff. I do think about my mom and my grandparents, and I know they come through sometimes, and I know they're watching me and looking out for me. And guys, your loved ones are always, they're able to see you and watch you, but they're not going to impede on you. You're still here to live your own life. So, they are, and apparently, according to Katie, the psychic, she said they can arrange things for you. So say if you really want to get a certain job or a certain opportunity, your loved ones in spirit can actually arrange circumstances to your benefit. Like maybe you'll be going to a coffee shop and you'll meet someone that would read your script, or, the things that you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened, sometimes is created by your family members or your guides and your loved ones. Um, let's see what other questions we had. Let me see. Can you guys hear me okay?
And if you guys have
No, my
questions on this side too for Tiffany before she heads out today, please ask them. Let me
Yes.
know.
I'll ask any questions, guys. There's no judgment. Nothing would ever surprise us.
I'm judgy.
Someone said,
I'm just kidding.
Tom, what question have you got? And then Hugh says, what about the black light? So there's no such thing as the black light, Hugh. It's basically there's dark and there's light, literally black and white, but both are created by source because we live in a world of many options, many flavors. We have dark, we have light, we have good, we have bad. Everything has an opposite. So without the dark, we wouldn't know the light. That's why there has to be both. Okay. So I hope that makes sense because I know a lot of this can be heavy for you guys that are just like getting used to this kind of other stuff. But it's all part of it.
Yeah, and
Sometimes
that
negative
makes
thing,
sense.
yeah, sometimes like a negative thing can happen to you, but it's actually for the light because your soul will learn, your soul will realize something, and you're like for example, oh, my friend betrayed me or whatever, and that's very hurtful and very dark, negative. Well, that had to happen so I could see to move on from that friendship. So sometimes negative things can happen, but they're just a redirection into the more positive timeline or the white light as such. Malik, we are talking about ghosts and paranormal stuff. So if we're about to wrap up, Malik, but if you have any questions, guys, now's your time to ask. Feel free to ask any questions.
Quickly, have you ever thought about reaching out to, and I know this is kind of crazy, but have you ever thought about reaching out to sort of that dark entity you've met twice now and feeling like trying to figure out what its deal is? Or like, have you ever thought about that? Has it ever crossed your mind that you wanted to just know, like, what the heck are you? Where did you come from? Why are you here? Stuff like
That's
that?
a
Or,
great question. I didn't because it was so negative and
hmm,
creepy and its energy was dark that I was just like, get out. But that's really interesting. I assume it was here to feed on the energy of fear or sadness or anger because a lot of times, guys, these paranormal entities or ghosts or negative spirits, they actually, their food source is your energy or your reaction, right? Because they don't have a
hmm,
body anymore. So they might be feeding off of your energy. So when people get scared, they scream, that's like literally they have their dinner.
yeah, so
So, but no, I
it
was
was getting
too
a buffet.
scared. I was too scared. Yeah, it was like having Malik says, question, has that guy been diagnosed? No, absolutely not, Malik. Um, no, of course not. You see, guys, it is easy to think like, oh, well, because you've never seen it, it doesn't exist. But probably at some point in your life, you're gonna see something that you can't explain. And you might remember back to this chat, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of, just guidance. And by no means am I an expert. I'm just sharing what happened to me. And again, I was sober, not on drugs. I don't drink at all. So it's
Yeah.
just really interesting, do you know?
Same thing with me too. I can't really do anything even if I wanted to because my type 1 diabetes gets a little angry and it kind of wants to put me in the early grave. So I am
Yeah.
almost sober 99% of my life. So anytime I experience these things or technology starts going off or I have things talking through devices and stuff like that, I always try to debunk it. I always try to figure out what the hell is this? What am I doing wrong? This can't be real. Even though I've had my own personal experiences and I can't. I've had too many
Right.
experiences now that were just mind blowing, full blown conversations with something through a device that just made me think okay, what's next? And then with my mom's friend passing and doing that
Yeah.
crazy explanation of how she actually, I've never heard of the,
I
I
love
can't,
that. I love
right?
that.
I've never had someone say, I can't come back and speak with you because I will literally not find you. Like,
Right.
that's a
That is
different
so
twist,
interesting.
right?
Right. No, that is wild, and I love that. And I when you said that, I could really resonate with like, whoa, that makes so much sense because, also different spirits, some of them are more advanced than the others, some of them can come through. The younger souls will find it more difficult. But no, I when you said that, I was like, oh, I totally feel that like to be true,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
What's funny is I had
You
all these
know?
questions before you had to go today, and you've literally answered all of them straight through just with our general back and forth banter, which was fantastic. Um,
Oh, no, I loved it. So I had another question here.
yeah, go for it.
Independent Money Beats says, if you think positive, you won't see demons. Well, typically, I think yes, but I don't know for sure. I just know in my experience, when I've had
Thank
bad
you,
times,
I2.
weird things that I can't explain have happened. When I'm happy, when I'm light, I'm in a good mood, that stuff has never happened. So I guess the moral of the story is to just try and keep your vibration high, not to always be fake happy. If you're having a bad day, that's okay. But you don't let the bad day continue into a bad week type of thing, you know? You have like a window of time.
And you know what's funny? They make a good point too with what you said. It completely coincides with your whole conversation that you had, where you didn't see something until you had a moment of being doubtful in your life. You were depressed, you were down, all this other
Yeah.
stuff. So, them saying, like, if you can stay at a happy point in your life and all this other stuff, you probably won't see a demon. It's almost funny because that coincides directly with your experience, where you don't see these things when you're in a good place, but as soon as you hit that bad, even if it was one night, it took advantage of it.
100%. And Garrett, just real quick, you guys might enjoy this story, but they used to live in Indonesia, right? And
Jeez, that's
their
so
house,
cool.
their house was so haunted to the point Garrett's brother Sean had physical scratch marks across
That's
his face from
Indonesia.
whatever. Yeah, and the entity like pushed him. It was like honestly bullying him for the longest time. The family called a priest. The priest came to the house. They were trying to like get whatever entity it was out. In the end, two priests came. Both of them went out running and said it was above their head. And eventually, Garrett's family just had to
Oh
sell the
God.
home because, and the dad was like, oh, you guys are overthinking this and that. And so, long story short, they sold the home, family moved out. Everyone in the family had had these experiences, but the dad like was like, "Oh, you guys are overthinking," or he just didn't believe it. Anyway, 6 months later, after they moved out, the new owners of the house called him up and said, "You never told us this house was haunted. We've had scratches." So the new people got a
Yes.
dose of it too. So, and then Garrett, the family were like, "We told you, Dad, we told you." And he was like, "Gosh." And then he felt bad that he didn't give the kids more time, like, okay, something's up. Because he physically had scratches on his face. It's like crazy. And that's actually a sign of a really strong entity. If they can physically create a mark on you, if you can feel anything, they're very
Yeah.
powerful. Much more powerful than one that you can just see, you know?
I know we don't have time to talk about Garrett's past, but that's just cool that you ended up meeting someone who has an open mind and experience with things, even though that wasn't a great one, but like you got lucky with the
Yeah.
sense that like you aren't crazy to this person. Cause I think going back to your
No.
conversation about people don't want to talk about this stuff because either their family thinks they're crazy because they don't believe in this, or they're super religious and this is like no talk. Or, you meet someone who just says, don't talk about that. I don't want to hear that kind of thing. Like the biggest thing conversation I had with my wife is I said, we're not going to turn into one of those horror movies where you're being like, harassed by some demonic spirit. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, I just saw a spirit, my ass is running downstairs, getting the sage, and I'm coming upstairs doing ritual. Like I'm not wasting
Literally.
time.
No, definitely.
I'm gonna go
And
into
if
all the
any,
closets and be like, where are you?
yeah. And by the way, guys, I do advise you to all have some sage in the house because
I have
God forbid
boxes of this stuff.
there's no harm just saging the house just to keep the energy light and free. But no, that's it. Like family members, my family thinks I'm weird, right? They think I'm so weird. They're like, they roll their eyes and stuff. And, after a while, they started to see things too. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, really? And by the way, guys, before we wrap up, this type
Mm-hmm.
of stuff is likely to increase because we're moving into the 5D Earth. So the veil is going to
Yep.
get thinner. Things like this might start to happen. The fact you're even here listening, that means you have an interest, which means
Mm-hmm.
you might have something back in your lineage like Cosmote. Yeah, so 5D Earth is coming in now, slowly but surely. And these type of things, good and bad, there's good entities, there's good spirits, are gonna start becoming more prevalent and visible. So, aliens, yes, that does include aliens Y2 as well. And I think disclosure is going to probably, hopefully, start to occur in the next 2 or 3 years. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, and I got those experiences for another day because that's another
Yeah,
3 hours.
definitely. It is another 3 hours. You guys are gonna have to get your cup of tea or coffee, and that'll
Mm-hmm.
be for another time.
And
But
I
we
already
are
finished
entering the
mine.
fifth.
But yeah, no,
Love it.
that's fantastic. You just let me know
It
when
is.
you have to wrap up your questions. I know you have a time
Yeah.
limit. You have stuff to do.
Guys, do you have any more questions before we wrap up? You know what? It's lovely to see everyone. There's a lot of people here in the comments they are aware of the fifth dimension. They are aware of what's happening. So it's nice to see that the changes are starting to occur, and us
Well,
people that are bravely talking out about it, we're not the weird ones. At least we won't be the weird ones forever, you know?
Well, what's funny too is, like you said, a lot of people aren't going to say anything because they want to stay quiet, but they still want to listen and believe in things. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
You may have a lot of people who are not going to say anything because they don't want to have it out there that they believe in stuff. They're very private about it. But slowly but surely, I do have people DMing me or coming to me and saying, "Hey, I believe in this. I want to talk about this. Have you had an experience with that? I've seen this. What do you think about that?" And I've never had that before. So it's exploding, it's growing. Like, I've always been like this, but the amount of people who are now evolving into this mindset is insane.
It's wonderful to see because everyone's had a little kind of weird experience and they don't know what that is, and they
Mm-hmm.
but just know that it can happen, and you're not crazy,
No,
because it's so easy to convince ourselves like, what was that, or brush it off. But no, stay aware, stay conscious, and question everything. That's just how I feel about it anyways.
I agree. I question literally everything every day.
Yeah, that's the way of the truth seeker, I guess.
Yep, agreed. Well,
Awesome. Well, I
awesome.
think we'll wrap it.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you for coming out for this very first test run of my new podcast. We do have the Coffee and Conspiracy one that I am doing once a month, but this is my new little paranormal podcast where I want to bring people on and do kind of a ghost story conversation and explain their feelings and their life story. And I think you absolutely nailed that. So guys,
Sure.
I really, 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 really appreciate Tiffany for coming out and being here with us
Of
today. Her
course.
socials are posted above. This was absolutely lovely. You and Garrett are phenomenal human beings. You just get a vibe
Thank
from people and you get a
you.
really cool feeling off of them. And you're doing great. You guys are doing phenomenal things. And just thank you for being you and being here today and having this experience with us.
For sure, 100%. I'm sorry about the tech issues. Oh my
Oh,
God,
don't
I'm the
worry about it.
worst at that.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal.
But
But seriously,
we
keep in
will
touch.
support you.
Let's have a talk. Let's chat a little bit. And maybe I'll have you guys out for a ghost hunt
Yeah,
sometime.
for sure. Maybe we'll do an IRL ghost hunt. That would be
Dude, that
so
would be
fun.
amazing.
Right? Oh my God, the craziest shit would happen. It would be,
Exactly.
we have to plan it at some point. Maybe the Cecil
Hmm.
Hotel in LA would be a
Dude,
really,
I
this is
would
like
fly
Vortex.
out for. You have so many cool
Gotta,
things out there. It's ridiculous. You have all the
let's do
crazy
it.
stuff, man.
The craziest shit. Like, oh my God. Like, that Cecil Hotel, there's friggin' 5 or 6 a week, and it just doesn't get reported anymore because it's just too negative. But the
Hmm.
whole, so we definitely will find something fun to do.
Agreed. Sounds good. Well, thank you for
All
coming out.
right,
I appreciate you.
Cosmo.
Everybody wave bye. Say goodbye to Tiffany. Thank
Bye,
you. I hope you have a wonderful
guys.
evening and a great weekend.
You too, hon. Bye, everyone. That was so
Bye.
fun. Bye.